Hey guys, welcome to the bonus email roundup. I guess this will be number 3. It's Easter Sunday. I'm sitting in a hotel room and I have a couple of hours before I catch my flight. So I want to make efficient use of the time and knock a couple of questions out here. So today we're going to be talking about the Intel leak, using Challengers and Leopards in Ukraine or how they might be used, my laptop and travel gear, becoming a software engineer in mid-career, joining the military at 31, and Australia's submarine deal. So Kodai asks, are you going to do a video about the Intel leak? All right. So for those of you who don't know, a couple of days ago, there was a supposed Intel leak of the composition, disposition, location of Ukrainian forces. I'm not going to show that information here. I don't hide what I do or who I work for. That's all my LinkedIn. Everybody knows. But I don't really talk about it, but I do help find bad guys using software. So you could say I'm in the intelligence community. And because of that, I actually take secret documents and stuff very seriously. So I'm not even going to show them on my channel. Even if secret documents have been leaked, if they haven't been declassified, they're still considered secret. So I'm not going to show them. But supposedly these documents, so couple things. These documents might be faked. They showed up on like a site that focused on Minecraft, so it's like, all right, how do you get this stuff? So someone could have faked it. If it is real, they're going to find that person. And there's a couple of reasons why. You don't just walk around the military or inside the intelligence community and there's secret documents like posted to the walls and stuff. If you're going to look at a secret document, there's a very controlled way you do so. Typically, you see this stuff inside something called a SCIF, or sensitive compartmentalized information facility. And you can't bring your phone in there. Actually, you can't bring any electronics. You can't bring your Apple Watch. I even think that people with like pacemakers and those blood glucose monitors, the insulin pumps, I think they have to get special waivers to walk into a SCIF with like an electronic insulin pump. So it's not like you walk into a SCIF and there's just these piles of intelligence so you can bring your cell phone and take pictures of it. It doesn't work like that. And also, if you want to get technical, you can turn a tent into a SCIF. You can turn a hotel room like this into a SCIF through a certain process. So we actually take this stuff very seriously. Now, printing in a SCIF. When you print a secret document, the user, like who printed this information, is stored. So if this intelligence is real, then they're going to find who did it, and they're going to go reality winner on these guys. Reality winner. She was this contract intel analyst who printed out a bunch of secret documents to help prove that there was Russian collusion in the election, and I think she went to jail for that. So this is your cybersecurity and secret document training for the year. Don't do that. Go on. Next, Carl asks, how do you see the Ukrainians using their new Challenger and Leopard tanks? Do you see them keeping them in a group or sprinkling them around, mixing it up? So I could see maybe 3 ways of using these vehicles. The first is to put them all inside like a Western type assault battalion. And you would use these tanks for special breakthrough missions. I think they would be very useful in that role. Plus, all of the foreign parts are going to one place. The other thing they can use them for is as ISR platforms. Western tanks tend to have better sensors than Soviet-era tanks, even the upgraded Soviet-era models. So I could see them parceling them out as ISR vehicles, and then they could use those vehicles to spot for artillery. ISR, by the way, means intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance. So I can see them using these Western tanks to spot artillery, basically using them as big mobile bunkers. I think that might be unlikely because then you're not using the vehicle at its full capability, but it's a possibility. And the third thing would be packaging them as platoons or sections, meaning 4 vehicles or 2 vehicles. And you have to do 2 vehicles or more, because if a tank breaks down, another tank can self-recover that vehicle, like pull it out of the mud. So I can see them splitting them into platoons and then attaching them to motorized or mechanized infantry units and using them as a punch, like a breakthrough force. So those are probably the three main ways that Ukraine would use Western tanks like the Challenger and the Leopard. Identity asks, what kind of laptop are you using here? That was in my video about, are these Russian forces helping after the earthquake in Syria? Do you have a video about the equipment you use? I do not have a video about the equipment I use. So this will be a video about the equipment I use. When traveling, I typically use, well, let me back up. The laptop I'm using right now is a Dell Inspiron 16 laptop that cost me about $1,400. I bought it specifically for this trip because I normally use a Microsoft Surface laptop, but the Surface, it just can't handle Adobe Premiere Pro. It can't. So I needed something with a bigger screen, something with a graphics card that can handle Adobe Premiere Pro. And it also has an SD card reader, so I can take stuff out of my camera, pop it in, and I can start video editing. That's not something I have to worry about when I'm at home and I'm using my home computer. I typically use a Canon XC10 camera. I bring that with me. Although honestly, this is more of a prop than anything. This is more of a thing that identifies me as a journalist. I take a lot of pictures and do a lot of video on my iPhone. I'm doing video production on my iPhone right now. So I think we're at a point where if you're being escorted by a public affairs officer and you're taking pictures with your iPhone, you're like, who the heck is this guy taking pictures with his iPhone? But if you have one of these, people kind of know your deal. It helps prevent you from answering awkward questions, right? I also have a portable tripod that goes into my roller bag. I have Rode lavalier mics that I use to mic people for better sound. I also have chargers, and like you wouldn't believe, chargers, batteries, extra SD cards. I carry wireless earbuds. That way, if I have to do video editing on the road, I can just pop those in. I'm not bothering people on the plane or whatever. All of this goes into an away suitcase and a Patagonia bag that I carry, stuff that's absolutely critical. When I'm going into the field with the military, I wear REI pants, like these REI hiking pants, and an REI shirt. When I travel, I am Graeme Main. I normally travel like this. I wear a merino wool button-down shirt, which looks good whether I'm at a restaurant or when I'm on the airplane. And it's also very Graeme Main. Like, I don't really stand out looking like this. I like to travel Graeme Main. I don't like to stand out with bright colors when I travel. And I'm wearing Lululemon ABC pants. And it's funny to even say that I'm wearing Lululemon, but the nice part about the merino wool shirt and the Lululemon pants is that they don't hold any odor. So if I'm sweating or I smoke, all I have to do is put them under the sink and rinse them out and twist them, and they dry overnight, and now I have a fresh set of clothes. I also bring merino wool underwear, and I have merino wool, like a t-shirt and shorts, and I work out in that. I always bring running shoes with me, even though it takes up a significant portion of my bag, because I like to go running. So I have these pants, these shorts that act as they can be shorts to lounge around the hotel in, or I can use them as a swimsuit, or I can use them to sleep in, and I can use them to work out in. And they're merino wool, so they don't smell, or if they do, you just rinse them out into the water, and they're good. I also bring Hoka shoes, just in black, just basic black sneakers. And what's nice about these particular sneakers is that they're very comfortable for standing long periods of time. If you're doing stuff with the Army, you're going to be standing for long periods of time. And that's actually pretty much it. I also have a Patagonia rain jacket. I always bring that, and sometimes the sweatshirts, and so that'll keep me warm. So Jonathan asks, I recently quit my 2-decade career in CNC programming to become a software engineer. I have 1 year left before I graduate, and I was wondering if you'd give me any pointers to get my foot in the door. So step one, probably the most critical step, is get a software internship right now. You need that software internship, because that software internship proves to me that you were able to get along with coworkers. So that's a pretty good indicator that you got along with other people, so you might get along with my team. The second thing is build up your GitHub. Build up your GitHub with interesting projects. Oftentimes, people won't even look. You'll list your GitHub on your resume as your code repository. Oftentimes, people won't even look at your GitHub. But if a hiring manager does look at your GitHub and you have interesting projects in there, I don't mean stuff like, hey, I made Tetris. All right, well, great. But if you have a thing that says, hey, I made a machine learning algorithm that can predict with 80% accuracy the outcome of a football game, now you got my interest. Like, all right, you put some work into this. So that's kind of what I like to see. I like to see that you've been doing projects on your own that are not only interesting but complex. So do that. Then Hani asks, I'm 31 years old, hold a bachelor's degree in business. I am multilingual as a result of growing up abroad most of my life, and have been working in the luxury hotel industry for the past 5 years. And while it's just okay for me at the moment, I'm looking for the next step in my life to give me a sense of fulfillment and purpose. Should I consider joining the armed services at 31? Fulfillment and purpose. So everyone who's active duty and was working Easter Sunday is laughing right now, right? I think the military can be a fulfilling career. I think that what you need to do is you need to take a look at every single recruiter. Don't just go to the Army. Don't just go to the Marine Corps. Look at the Navy. Look at the Air Force. Look at the Space Force. What I'm seeing here is you're multilingual. All right, well, I don't know what languages you speak, but the military could sure use translators. The military loves to have translators. And so you can get into intelligence, you could do translation. It might not be a bad idea to look into the softer services like the Air Force or the Space Force, where if you're intelligent guy with a bachelor's degree, you become an officer, and I don't want to say essentially never work, because you're sure you're going to work, but you will have an easier and more comfortable life in the Air Force or the Space Force as an intelligence analyst with a bachelor's degree and speaking multiple languages. So that might not be a bad option for you. And do that for 20 years, you get a pension, you're set for life. And hopefully you get the security clearance, and as long as you don't print out secret documents, you will have a job on the outside at a private security contractor when you leave the military. So I think it's something that you should consider. You want to do it for the right reasons. You want to do it because you want to serve your country, not necessarily because you want to get that fulfillment. And actually, so serving your country can be part of fulfillment and purpose. But make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. I would say that. Don't just look at the bonus or look at, what can this thing do for me? Finally, Liam asks, just curious, what are your thoughts on the recent Australian submarine deal with the UK and US? It's a pretty big deal in Australia after previously costly screw-up deal with France. We're spending $360 billion on this new sub deal. Obviously, subs are an extremely effective tool for defense, especially in our area of the world. But are these the right subs? Production is far away. Many Australians are wondering if we've been used car salesmen screwed by the US, UK on this. So the US, UK, and Australia have been partners for years. I don't see the United States screwing Australia on anything in particular, especially on something like submarines, which the US and UK do pretty darn well. We're pretty darn good at that. For those of you who don't know, a couple of months ago, Australia canceled this deal with France for, I think, 12 submarines. Look, the submarine thing, any naval topic is tough for me. This Department of the Boat People thing, that's that's so complex in its own right, and I can only know so much, right? So I know a little bit about this stuff, but I'm not H.I. Sutton, who I actually asked if he would come on and explain the sub deal, and he never got back to me. Maybe he's just mad that I mispronounced his name the last time he was mentioned on this video. On the video series. But I don't think it's a bad deal. I think that one of the things the United States does really well and has a major platform advantage over. Like we're talking 2 generations at least ahead of China is the plan. The People's Liberation Army Navy is submarines. That's one thing that the United States has dominance in, or the People's Liberation Army Navy is not catching up anytime soon with submarine technology. So I think you probably got a good deal because you're going to get really good submarines that work really well, will help defend the great nation of Australia. So that's pretty much it. I am going to see if there's any coffee downstairs because there was no coffee when I went downstairs to get coffee this morning. And then I got to catch a flight. Right now, my bill for this trip so far is at like $3,600. And this is what happens when you try to rent a car and fly and get a hotel on Easter weekend, right? So thank you to everyone who's bought a t-shirt from Bunker Branding. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who's joined my Substack. Help pay for this channel because it isn't cheap. It isn't cheap flying somewhere on Easter Sunday. And so if you can take a look at my Substack and join, toss me $5. I really appreciate it. And thank you guys so much for watching.
Hey everyone! New Ryan McBeth t-shirts and hoodies from Bunker Branding are available. I'm gonna get the HIMARS shirt. What are you gonna get, Donald? The Patriot shirt, because I'm a patriot. It's the best shirt, the biggest shirt. Make 14 tangos great again. What are you gonna get, Barack? Let me be clear. I'm gonna get a Drone Sweet Drone shirt. What about you, George?
I'm gonna get a Knife Hand shirt because they're weapons of mass destruction. What about you, Billy?
Oh, I'm going to get a landmine marker shirt because my presidency always blew up in my face.
I'll tell you what I'm going to get.
Ronald Reagan, but you're dead.
I came back to tell you that no matter our politics, we're all Americans. And we should buy Ryan's hoodies and t-shirts because they pay for the stock footage and licenses that allow him to make awesome content. So come on down to Bunker Branding and buy a Ryan McBeth t-shirt or I'll start the bombing in 5 minutes.